Welcome to Takeover, the most underrated sports debate show on YouTube. Yes, we're in the trenches again, and we're down a member due to economic reasons. I don't know where Josh is at. And so it's gonna be me and D'Angelo today. It's been a lot going on, but I couldn't leave you guys hanging. You know what week it is. You know what time it is. So you know what I'm saying. We have to do it right.
For sure. But as you know, my name is D'Angelo.
It's your boy Cam. And this is Takeover.
Yo, hey champ. Yo, we play it all in night. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition already ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind on the muscle, pull up. Park it right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing.
So, starting off, it's the game of the week. It is 1 versus 3. There's been the anticipation. We knew it would come down to these two teams in the SEC, and it has. Alabama versus Georgia. D'Angelo, who you got?
So we had a conversation earlier on in the season talking about Alabama's offense versus Georgia's defense, right? But I think the key to this game is going to be the ability of Georgia to move the ball effectively on offense and how well Alabama will be able to defend Georgia. Because we've heard all season about how elite Georgia's defense is and even some weapons that they have on offense. But I don't believe that it's as cut and dry as everyone is making it out to be, and I don't believe that Georgia's going to blow out Alabama for a couple reasons, right? So first, let's get into Alabama's run defense, right? We all talk about how elite Georgia's run defense is, but I can make an argument that Alabama's run defense is probably just as good because they haven't let anyone run for 3 yards per carry all year, with the exception of Texas A&M. And I believe that if they shut down Georgia's run game and force Stetson Bennett to throw through the air and beat them through the passing game, I believe that they'll be able to win the game, or at least have a chance at winning the game. Alabama has been riddled with injuries at the running back position, right? And many people would say that's the reason why Georgia has a big advantage over Alabama. But I can make an argument that since Alabama has had injuries at the running back position, Alabama has had to find out ways to beat opponents without the running game and without relying on it, and that's where Bryce Young and the receivers come into the picture. You have Bryce Young, he has a completion percentage of 69%, 3,900 passing yards and 40 touchdowns, and he takes care of the ball. He only has 4 interceptions, I believe, and he can really extend plays. Bryce Young is a big reason why Alabama is second in the country when it comes to third down conversions. And when you look at the receivers, you have Mechie has 1,000 receiving yards, and Williams has 1,200. Mechie has 7 touchdowns, and Williams has 13 touchdowns. When you look at Georgia's passing defense, the reason why the passing defense is so good is because of the front 7. So I believe, when you look at the teams that they faced, right, like Arkansas and Kentucky, they really only have one threat at the receiver position. But when you look at a team like Tennessee that can air it out more, they were able to throw over 300 yards on Georgia's defense. So I believe that the receivers on Alabama may be able to exploit Georgia because they have not really faced a lot of good passing offenses. And another reason why I believe Alabama can win this game is Nick Saban, because I think people forget who Nick Saban is. I think he's going to have a great game plan. And I believe that it's a high chance that he will outcoach Kirby Smart. I think he's going to have Alabama prepared for this game. And Stetson Bennett, statistically, he's very accurate and consistent, but we haven't seen him really blow the top off of a team. We haven't seen him we've only seen him game manage. He's been basically relying on the defense to score for him or basically keep them in the game. So I believe Alabama can win this game if they can get the ball out quick enough to where Georgia doesn't have time to react and make a stop, and if they can play defense well enough to stop the run.
You said Cam, so who do you have? Or just make sure, who do you have winning?
I would pick Alabama.
What's the score? What you got?
The score?
Yeah, give me a good off the rip.
I think it's going to be close. Maybe I'll go 27. I'll go maybe 25. I don't know.
Okay.
I think it's going to be close.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and be real. Should Georgia be favored to win this game? Absolutely. The Georgia Bulldogs defense has been great. When you look at especially the interior. You look at guys like Jordan Davis, and you see all this, you see the pressure they're able to generate. Alabama has been extremely shaky on the offensive line, And I feel like that's going to be a main problem that you may see during this game. But, you know, Georgia, as good of a defense they are, like DeAndre said, their offense, it doesn't really buy me. And to upset Alabama, it always takes something special on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think Georgia necessarily has I don't think their team is the DNA to beat the Alabama team. You look at people who've beaten Alabama in these big games in the past, it's always been a high-flying offense that can spread out the ball, a defense that makes timely stops. And you know what's crazy about that? That's what Alabama is now. And it looks like Georgia, in my opinion, is one of these old Alabama teams, the one that's extremely dependent on defense and kind of shaky and dependent on the run game on offense. And I feel like football has really come down to a game of matchups. When I think of this Alabama team, I think of the 2020 Super Bowl Kansas City Chiefs. I say that because they were fully dependent on offense. Sometimes they played down to their competition, but they always scratched out wins. They always found a way to win, and their defense was opportunistic. You look at what Alabama went against Auburn last week, the defense ended up making plays when they needed to. Alabama's defense hasn't always been good, but they tend to make plays when they can. And when you look at Stetson Bennett and the way Georgia's offense run, it's so dependent on Zaire White and Cook. You see, if they can't run the ball, what is Georgia going to do? If they force Stetson Bennett to throw, I feel like this game gets really interesting. And that's why I have Bama winning in a close one as well. You know, I hate that Josh isn't here because, you know, Josh has Georgia by 17. So I hate that he's not here to talk back, but I feel like this is going to be a really close game. I feel like having Bryce Young is Alabama's extreme advantage. I feel like he's been the best quarterback in college football, and I think when he went down the field from the 2-yard line with 48 seconds versus Auburn, I think he won the Heisman on that drive just by itself. So I feel like it'll be a good game. And the last thing I'll say is, what has Kirby Smart proven in big games? He hasn't really won one. If you want to count the Clemson one, Clemson's unranked now. No one really knows who they are. Can Kirby win the big game? I feel like that is still a question mark, and I'm going to roll with the Tide. I'm going to roll with Nick. I got Bama in a close one, maybe by 3. I'm feeling a 20-17 vibe with this game, and it's going to be real close. I think it'll be a good game to watch for sure, though.
Plus, like, I'm also thinking about Alabama. Like, y'all basically been in the playoffs for a couple of weeks right now.
yeah, every game.
And, like, Georgia, no disrespect to the teams that they played, but they really haven't played an offensive team that can really, like, push them to the test.
Because honestly, they haven't seen anything like Alabama, and I don't think Alabama's seen a defense like them yet.
Yeah,
So it's an interesting game. It's definitely be an interesting game.
So if you're a Takeover OG, if you've been watching since the beginning, you might remember an episode where me and Cam talked about who was going to win Rookie of the Year, Ja Morant or Zion Williamson. And, you know, then we saw the draft, and, you know, Zion went number 1 and Ja went number 2. So, as we've seen how amazing Ja Morant has been playing, should Ja Morant have went number 1 in the draft?
I find this conversation extremely interesting because, especially with you, because we all know you're this Ja Morant fiend, okay? We know that's your guy, and that's fine. He's great. I think he's a young Russell Westbrook with a jump shot, which means technically in a couple years, I don't know who's going to be able to guard Ja Morant. But let's talk about Zion Williamson, okay? He's 6'6", 315. He's a Popeye's biscuit away from being Booger McFarland. But out of shape or in shape, I'm still not sure who can really guard Zion. You look at Zion's first 2 seasons, he's the first player to average 25 under the age of 21. He averaged 27 and 8 last season. And he's doing it while shooting 61% from the field. Okay, Cam, we know most of those shots are coming from dunks, but everyone knows it's a dunk, but somehow can't stop Zion from scoring. I feel like Zion has the opportunity to be something unique in this league. And when you're drafting, I feel like the Pelicans went for what was most unique. And when you look at Zion, you have to have that comparison to the Greek Freak, someone who can't really shoot but is extremely dominant. So if you center around Zion with the right pieces, I feel like he still could be, not necessarily the face of the league, but he definitely will have a pillar in what the NBA is right now. He is positionless basketball. He can do a lot of things on the offensive side, and you've seen the highlights he makes on defense. So if Zion can stay healthy, because health is, I think, the major concern, like I said, Popeye's biscuit from Booger McFarland. He's 315. I haven't seen an NBA player that big in a while. If he can stay healthy, which is, you know, that's the problem, I feel like he'll be able to make his strides in the league. So I don't blame them. I still think Zion should have been taken first.
Okay. I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying, but to answer the question, and me as a John Morant fan, I'm not being biased or anything, it doesn't matter. Because the number that you're drafted does not impact or equivalent to the value that you give to a team. Hakeem Olajuwon and Sam Bowie were drafted above Michael Jordan. Are they in the argument for the greatest of all time? No. Greg Oden was drafted above Kevin Durant. Greg Oden doesn't even play basketball anymore. So, and if you ask me as a John Morant fan, I'm glad he did not go number one, because then he would have went to the Pelicans. The mess that is the Pelicans right now. I'm glad that he went to Memphis because the role that he assumed there fit him perfectly, and he was able to make a difference. You look at the first year, he won Rookie of the Year. Many people said that if Zion was not injured, he would have won it. But nevertheless, many people thought that the Grizzlies were going to be a lottery team. But they ended the season being the 8th seed, and then the Grizzlies didn't make it to the playoffs, but they came within one game without Jaren Jackson Jr. against Dame and the Portland Trail Blazers. But that wasn't enough for people, you know what I mean? Call Zion overrated. They call Ja overrated. But then we go to the second year. John Morant beat Steph Curry, the greatest shooter of all time, and the Golden State Warriors to go to the playoffs, making them the youngest team in 2 decades to make it to the playoffs. To me, that alone is impressive, because for you to be a rookie and to come and do that for your team and set a culture, and then the second year to take it to a whole nother level, that alone is impressive. And then you look at what he's doing now in his 3rd year, currently averaging 24.5 points, 7 to 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. We hope you get better, Ja. And he's shooting 37% from 3 in confidence. And this is only his 3rd year. He only has to get better. And you talk about size and the chance that Zion has, and I hope he gets that opportunity. But it's the ifs, you know what I'm saying? And Ja has been there. He has great vision. He's a leader. He plays with confidence, and you play basketball to win. He may not have the shot like Trae Young or Steph Curry, but like I said, you play basketball to win. And John Morant has impacted winning like very few young players have done. And he changed the culture in Memphis. When you look at Memphis, you look at the old days with Gasol, Zach Randolph, Mike Conley, Tony Allen, and Mayo. They were good. They got a couple playoff runs. But to me, if you ask me, they were kind of boring. John Morant brought the sauce to Memphis. And it's like...
It was kind of boring, okay.
It was kind of like you had the Gasol post-ups. Now you have John Morant that brings that different type of flair.
He's box office.
Yeah. So now, to a lesser degree, what LeBron did in Cleveland and what LaMelo Ball is doing in Charlotte, he brought the culture to Memphis. So everything that you said about Zion is cool. But John Morant has showed us that he deserves his respect.
All I'm going to say is Zion comes back next week, and I expect the same dominance. I don't expect any real drop-off in Zion's game. I understand what you're saying about John Morant, and he's been winning. He's been there. But it's something about Zion. I don't know. Maybe it's
If there's something about Zion Williamson, why hasn't he brought it? And I know you're talking about injuries and so on, but John Morant has been injured too.
Okay, but what about the injuries around his team? Brandon Ingram hasn't been around the whole time. He just lost Alonzo Ball. I'm not saying that these are necessarily excuses for him, but it's things that I feel like have to be considered when you're talking about Zion Williamson as well.
That's true. But, like I said, John Morant, the question was, would you have taken him first or second? And that's why I said it personally does not matter, because what he has done for the team does not equal to the number that he was drafted.
So 10 years from now, who you got?
John Morant.
John Morant.
Yes.
Okay. We'll keep in contact on that. That's okay. That's all right. But that's gonna end our episode for today. James, do you have anything to say?
I felt like this episode was long overdue. You know what I'm saying? I received a lot of hate and comments on behalf of John Morant, and it's time that John gives his respect. And what more is he gonna have to do for him to get his respect? Go ahead.
Now that we're done with that.
I'm just saying.
Now that we're done with that, roll tide, y'all, and we'll see y'all guys next week. We're gonna talk about this game after this, so take over out.
play it all in night. Yeah, need it all in advance. The opposition know we ready for it. Like a supper we eating, it won't be the last. Grind out the muscle, pull up. Park it right on the grass. We coming in, take over everything, run it up. Nothing holding me back. 3 in the wood, rushing. I don't like Dutch, don't even matter, you know I'm a face. And when I roll a paper, I like to go double. Run up a check, flip a W, make it an M. I need